Good day, and thank you for tuning in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. For all of our new listeners and viewers who are tuning in for the very first time, I'm Pastor Pope, Senior Pastor of New Life Christian Center, located at 400 Hillcrest Avenue in Wilmington, Delaware, 19809. We are the brown brick building located right on the corner of Hillcrest and Marsh Road. We invite you to come and be with us every Sunday morning at New Life Christian Center. Service begins at 10 a.m. If you're in our area, come and worship with us. Come and experience a better quality of life. And if you're not in our area, you can tune in for the Sunday sermon every Sunday morning at 10:45 a.m. when we go live on Facebook, YouTube, RadioFreeNetwork.com. Go to RadioFreeNetwork.com and click on radio. The drop box will appear. Click on New Life and every broadcast will be available to you in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. But we are here with you every Monday through Friday from 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, broadcasting live from the FijiWater.com sponsored studio, where you can discuss careers, finances, entrepreneurship. You can discuss marriage, divorce, raising children, blending families, whatever's in your heart, whatever's on your mind. God is concerned about that which concerns you. And so we are here in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast, which is brought to you daily from 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time by Fiji Water, Earth's finest water. You may already know that Fiji water comes from Fiji. However, did you know that it is created by nature? It is untouched by man. It starts as a tropical rainfall which slowly filters through layers of volcanic rock where the water collects in a natural, sustainable artesian aquifer where it is bottled right at the source, free from human contact until you unscrew the blue cap. Fiji Water, Earth's finest water, will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery, and you'll save money at FijiWater.com. This is Earth's finest water at FijiWater.com. And for those of you who continue giving on the Give segment of our app at New Life-Delaware to support the broadcast, and those of you who continue to support the broadcast by giving on the contribution pages of our websites at NewLifeMinistriesInternational.com and New Life International CDC.com. We thank you for your support and for your commitment as we fulfill our commitment to God to be here for you in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. So I want to say to all of our listeners and viewers also, yesterday I know we talked about how we have experienced a little technical difficulty for the first 6 minutes of the broadcast, 5 to 6 minutes of the broadcast. So we were able to get the sound corrected. The sound, because we have all this new equipment that has been installed so that we can prepare to launch our 24-hour internet radio station. There have been some technology issues as we've gotten everything combined, as it was delivered to us and shipped to us. We want to make certain that you have platforms that you can be encouraged and inspired and that you can hear from God. So there will be 24-hour music. There will be segments like 3D. There will be health and wellness segments. There'll be some other segments that will be added to the broadcast. But we are preparing to go live, God willing, that I shall live. I will see the launch coming soon. Stay tuned. You don't want to miss this. But thank you thank you all for your patience yesterday as we were able to get back up, because I see that all of you stayed tuned in, and I want to thank you for your continued patience and your continued support. Yesterday with us was our licensed and registered dietitian and nutritionist, Rebecca Buva, licensed and registered dietitian. BeccaTheDietitian.com was with us, as she is every first Thursday of the month. So you'll continue to hear from Becca. A lot of good things are happening. We want you to be a part of this. So stay tuned. We'll be keeping you informed as we prepare to launch our 24-hour internet radio station, Faith Empowerment Radio, and you don't want to miss this. Be with us as we are with you, as we continue to move forward right here in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. So I'm going to address a communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that your sister-in-law died last year and your brother appears to be grieving by going from one woman to the next. However, you've tried to encourage him to seek help and to slow down his dating game, you said in your communication. So listen, I get it, and you're right. Everyone grieves differently. And in your brother's case, because his wife is now deceased, he's going from lily pad to lily pad. He's hopping from woman to woman. And the problem is, you're right, he's grieving. But you're also correct, he needs to seek some help, because that's grieving because of the loss of his wife. But what he doesn't realize is that hopping from lily pad to lily pad and hopping from woman to woman is going to create him some more grief. He doesn't realize that now. And he's a younger man. And when I say a younger man, unfortunately, he's in his late 40s, and his wife also was in her late 40s, and you didn't indicate this in your communication, but God allowed me, as I was praying for your brother and for you, for your peace, God allowed me to see in that secret place of his life, and his wife has deceased from cancer, and he's young enough that this is his way, you might call it acting out, but this is his way of grieving. He's grieving the loss of his wife. Now, one of the things that we have to recognize is that we sometimes think that when people decease, we've lost them. And I've had to really make certain that as I go through this process of being a pastor for people that are internally in our church, and then externally who tune in but that are outside of our church, I always want to make sure that I'm using the right language for people to understand that we don't lose people who are saved. They're not lost. We know where they are. But because your brother and sister-in-law were really not actively engaged in church, they were saved, they understand religion, but they hadn't really developed a relationship with the Lord that both of them really needed to be able to not just get through this, and not just survive this, but to be able to thrive moving forward, maybe in a different way. And let me rephrase that, certainly in a different way. Because when you know where they are, they're not lost. So you can take time out and talk to your spouse that's deceased. You can take time out and meditate upon the blessings of the Lord and the good times that you had together. He's trying to fill that void with people, particularly with women. You're asking him to slow down his dating game because you're concerned for your brother, and rightfully so, because that dating game that he's playing right now, that's what you said in your communication, the dating game that he's playing is going to lead him to experience more grief. He's going to experience grief not due to the absence of someone who's deceased. He's going to have more grief just dealing with multiple women. He's going to have more grief because you've got all these different people to deal with, and there are different issues to deal with, and there are different personalities to deal with, and that's going to cause him more grief, just in a present form as opposed to an absent form. So you're correct. He's got to slow that down, and he's got to seek some help so that he can really understand. Now, your analogy is he needs Jesus. Well, we all need Jesus to get through every day of our lives. There's some folks who don't have a relationship with Jesus, so they definitely need him. But even those of us who do have a relationship with Jesus, we need him. We need him every day. We need that guidance. We need that spirit that will take us from faith to faith, from one level of faith to the next level of faith, that will get us from today till tomorrow, and not just through the day, but that it will help us get prepared for tomorrow and the days ahead, so that we can experience the fullness of God. So I'm going to say to you, I've been praying for your brother since you sent this communication. I'm going to continue praying for your brother. I'm going to pray for your peace. I know you're not in our area, but however, I will always cover your family with prayer. And your brother's going to need to talk to someone. He's going to need to talk to someone, whether it's spiritually or whether it's professionally as a therapist. He's going to have to talk to someone to deal with his grief, because he doesn't have a relationship with the Lord. And it's fine that you encourage him to get in a relationship with the Lord. He's going to have to come to that realization on his own. But in the interim, he's going to need to talk to someone about the grief that he's feeling. He's at this particular moment in time, he's finding comfort. He's not finding therapy for his grief, for the void that he's feeling, that empty place that he's feeling where his spouse once dwelled. He's trying to feel it with people. So he jumps from, I like to use the term from lily pad to lily pad, because he's people hopping. In this case, he's woman hopping. The reality is that that's not going to give him peace. He's not going to find peace in that. He's going to find more grief in that. Because you got to, and you've got to remind him, you're dealing with a lot of different people, which means you're dealing with a lot of different spirits. And when you're dealing with a lot of different spirits, you are going to find it necessary to deal with those personalities. So he's going to have to eliminate some of that from his life so that he can find peace. Because what he doesn't understand is he's not at peace now, not only because his wife has gone home to be with the Lord, but he's not at peace now because he's dealing with all these other different women, trying to find comfort in them. That one that will give him comfort. She's not going to replace his spouse, but he's looking for someone to comfort him. But what he doesn't realize is in this society today, you're not going to find comfort with them. They're not going. That comfort is only going to last for a moment, and it'll last until it doesn't last anymore. Because he's trying to feel grief. He's trying to fill that void that he's feeling to relieve himself of the grief. It's okay to grieve. It's okay to take your time and remember all the good moments that you have had together and the blessings of the Lord that you've experienced in your life. It's all good to take time to do that. And, in many cases, it may be your last time. You may not, well, he's young enough that he may remarry. But right now he needs to, as you said, seek some help and slow down. Encourage him to get back into church. It's been a long time since he's been in a church home. Take him to church with you. You live in the same city. Invite him to come to church with you, and then go out to get something to eat, so that he can get in the house of God and get in the presence of the Lord and really develop a relationship with the Lord, because that's the only thing that's going to help. When you lose someone you love, or in his case, she's not lost, they've been saved a long time. They've just been out of relationship with the Lord. They've been out of church for a long time, and many of us over the years have been. But he needs to be in the house of God, maybe get some spiritual counseling, maybe certainly get some therapy to help him to deal with the grief. Because everyone grieves differently and everyone can't handle grief the exact same way. We're all going to handle grief by our own methods. And the best method, of course, is to have a relationship with the Lord. Because in that you will find comfort and peace. Because it's not something down here that you're depending on that's going to give you comfort for a short period of time. The Lord will give you comfort forever. And for that, he needs to seek the Lord so that he can be in a better place. I will pray for your brother and pray for you. I'll pray for your brother that his grief will subside and eventually he'll be at a place of peace. And I'll pray for your peace as you really try to encourage your brother on this journey. This segment of the broadcast has been brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. So if you're not currently a T-Mobile customer, you may call or text on the T-Mobile call or text line at 267-992-1424. We will place you into our queue so that you may become a T-Mobile customer and experience America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. Taxes and fees are included in your bill, and if you auto pay by attaching a credit card to your account, you will receive a discount on your monthly bill. At T-Mobile, America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you feel as though you have been very productive the last 4 months. However, you suddenly feel as though you are slowing down and you're finding it difficult to find your way back to, you find your way to getting back in your level of productivity, your momentum, for lack of a better term. So let me share with you what's happening. So you're right, you've been very productive the last 4 months. So the last quarter of the year and the first month of this year, you've been very productive. Towards the end of last month, because you sent this in a couple of weeks ago, you felt yourself slowing down. You find that you are not quite able to get back to the level of productivity that you had been experiencing. And the reason is because you've had a lot of external distractions. What I'm going to say to you is this. First of all, you've got to, we all have to, but you really have to reduce and eliminate the external distractions. You don't have thank God you don't have a lot of distractions at home. You don't have any children. You are married, have been for a few years, but you don't have any children yet. So you don't have a lot of distractions. You and your husband are both working diligently in your careers. That's a positive thing. It's all external stuff. It's all, there's no drama at home. It's all external distractions. You've got to reduce and eliminate those external distractions. That's the first thing. And then I'm going to say this to you, because I realized that long ago, I realized that there's a moment of God's favor in every day that gives us momentum to get to the place that we want to achieve every day. There's one moment of God's favor. And even if that moment comes at the very end of the day, that moment will give you peace. because that's the favor of God. So as I was thinking about this particular communication, I had something happen, and I'm going to share this because I'm going to use this on Sunday in the sermon. So for those of you that are tuned in, that'll be tuned in for the Sunday sermon, just act like you never heard this. Here's the reality. So, I've constantly been on a mission to make sure I get 8 hours of sleep every night. Some nights that happens. Some nights you might miss. You might end up getting 7 and some change or 7 hours, but I'm really shooting for 8 hours every single night, minimum of 8 hours. If I can get 9, to God be the glory. But I realized something happened that can be an example for you also. You just have to be aware of the moments of God's favor so that you can get back into that momentum. The moment of God's favor gives us momentum to accomplish everything that we desire to achieve by the end of every day. So yesterday, I got exactly, let me rephrase that, the night before last. Yesterday when I awakened and after my morning prayer, I looked at my smart device, which I wear also in addition to my watch. And it has a clock on it, but I looked at how much sleep I had gotten. And I got exactly 8 hours of sleep the night before last. And, so my wife asked me, how much sleep did you get last night? And I said, you're not going to believe this, but I got exactly 8 hours of sleep. That's what it clocked. So you might go to bed and you may be in bed more than 8 hours sometimes, but our devices only clock when we're in deep sleep. So I got 8 hours of deep sleep the night before last. Yesterday was a very productive day. It's a long day for me on Thursdays anyway. But I went to bed last night and woke up again this morning. And this morning I looked at my device and I got exactly 8 hours of sleep again last night, going into this morning. Again, exactly, and it clocks every minute. So 8 hours, it could have been 8 hours and 3 minutes, it could have been 8 hours and 30 minutes, it could have been 7:59, it could have, but it was exactly 8 hours of sleep. So I said to my wife this morning, I said, God didn't have to wake me up for me to realize that was a moment of favor, because what are the statistics of probability that I would get exactly 8 hours of sleep each night? Something I've been trying to accomplish, but a minimum of it. But I realized it was God speaking to me in a way that He wanted my attention. So I said, God, okay, you don't need to wake me up. Thank you for not waking me up in the middle of the night to speak to me. I'm going to be listening all day to everything that you have to say, because you want my attention. But I also realized that that's a moment of favor. Anytime God is speaking to you, it's a moment of favor. And I knew I had another long day today. See, you don't really always realize, but I was at our Achievers Academy first thing this morning. I've literally been on the move at homegoing services, 2 of them, since then. And now on the broadcast. But it was God giving me the strength and the momentum to be able to get to all of the places that I needed to be, and to continue this day filled with the momentum of God and the momentum of God's favor, so that when this broadcast concludes, I can continue working now with a clear mind and with clarity on the 24-hour internet radio station. And then, of course, my daily 3 hours of study. And getting all of that completed, it's never done. There's always work to be done. But then to, look at where I am on my time schedule so that I can do whatever I need to get done or would like to finish up for this day and be ready to get 8 hours of sleep and awaken in the morning and begin my full day of study as always on Saturdays. And I'm saying that to you to say it's really about not just managing the time. You've got to manage the time to be productive, but you also have to rest in the Lord to be productive so that you can be aware of those moments of favor where God says, I'm speaking to you because you have a schedule of things to do, but there's more that I am expecting to do through you, and I need you ready for it. God only slowed you down so that he could speak to you, so that you could hear from him, and then you could continue in the momentum. So you feel like last week was a little slower for you, but did you listen to God? And the first few days of this month are a little slower for you, but have you been listening to God? So that you can do exactly what God wants you to do so that you can maximize your productivity. Because it's one thing to be productive. It's one thing to be very productive. It's another thing to even be extremely productive. But are you maximizing your productivity? And those are different levels. And you want to get to the place that God has appointed for your life so that you can maximize your success and experience the fullness of God. And that's what we all should desire to achieve in our daily lives. This segment of the broadcast has been brought to you by Charles Tyrwhitt, located in London, the UK. They also have stores in New York, Chicago, Washington, D.C., and at the King of Prussia Mall in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. If you're in any of those areas, stop in at their retail stores. They have everything a man could possibly need: shirts for men, ties for men, suits for men, and accessories. I am in Charles Tyrwhitt attire today. What you see is all Charles Tyrwhitt. If you are not in any of those areas, you can order from Charles Tyrwhitt at ctshirts.com. They will ship and deliver right to your front door in an appropriate period of time. And the White Company, located in London, the UK, they also have stores. They have a store on Fifth Avenue in New York. If you're in New York, stop in at their retail store. They have everything you could possibly need: home goods, clothing for men, women, and children. And if you're not in New York, you can order from the White Company at thewhitecompany.com. They too will ship and deliver right to your front door in an appropriate period of time. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that your daughter and your ex-husband have been distant since your divorce. And you indicated in your communication you have accepted the fact that that's your fault because since the divorce you have made some negative comments about your ex-husband. However, you realize now that your daughter desires a relationship with your ex-husband, and she's struggling with being able to have a good relationship with him because of the things that you said to her during and after the divorce. So, you can't unring the bell. You cannot unring the bell. What you can do is sit down and have a conversation with your daughter and share with her that, much of what you said was you said out of anger, and that it should not preclude her from having a relationship with her father. And if you really feel that it's been detrimental to her, you might even reach out to your ex, and depending on what terms you're on, and just encourage him to reach out to your daughter, because you know that she desires to have a relationship with him, and that you said some things that have probably caused a breach in their relationship. And leave it at that. You don't have to go in a whole lot of detail. But take your daughter to lunch, sit down with her, explain to her, the things you said out of anger. You don't want that to destroy the opportunity for her to have a relationship with her daughter, with her father, and that should give them the opportunity to open that door. And if it does, to God be the glory. Otherwise, they're going to have to find a way to fix it themselves.